Welcome back to Caught Lookin. As always, I am Meg, and joining me tonight are Sarah, Molly, Madeline, and we have a special guest joining us. We'll give her a proper introduction in a moment, but first, some guards news. Very exciting. Steve Kwan has avoided arbitration and signed a one-year deal at $7.725 million. Steve Kwan will be a guardian for 2026. Yay! We're all very excited about that. The one thing I do want to say, so I saw that news come down Twitter, and I saw several people start dooming about it. Oh, he's not going to sign an extension now, blah, blah, blah. First, this is from, I looked up a couple of these, but also Brian Shaw, who is at WX Shaw, not Brian Shaw, the pitcher, a different Brian Shaw. He has also looked up these dates prior, but the Guardians, Cleveland in general, does not normally sign extensions this early in the offseason. It is very rare. Since 2012, the only extension signed prior to the start of spring training was Brantley in 14. So quick list, we've got Santana who signed an extension in 2012 in April, Brantley in February, Jan Gomes was March 29th, Kipnis and Kluber were both April 4th. Carrasco was April 5th. Jose signed his first extension, March 28th. He who shall not be named, Emmanuel Clase, signed an extension April 2nd. Straw signed his April 9th. Hemi signed his March 28th. Stefan signed his March 29th. And Bybee signed his March 22nd. So just something to keep in mind. It is still completely possible that Steve Kwan will sign an extension. It is okay that he did not sign an extension in January. That is fully normal for the Cleveland Guardians to not sign an extension this early. So I need everybody to calm down.
We have
Please.
2 months to breathe before we need to start panicking.
Exactly. If he does not sign an extension before the home opener, the Cleveland home opener, then we can start dooming a little bit more. But before then, I really, truly need everybody to calm down.
I feel like he has to be their number one priority. I mean, if we're not going to sign any guys or pay anybody else, then like he has to be that number one priority. So I will be genuinely shocked if we don't hear anything in March and April. Like you said, that's when we can start dooming, but I do have a lot of hope.
I
I
think right now too, we just need to be excited that we're avoiding a Scooble situation, um,
Mhm.
like Detroit's dealing with the crazy arbitration gap. So right now, let's just be happy.
That was what
I'm
a
Fully.
trying not to
13
laugh
mil that
about the
was a
Scooble stuff,
13
but
million dollar gap.
That's insane.
13
I
million, was that it?
I cackled when I heard that. That's an insane, insane gap.
that's
Yes.
Yeah,
crazy.
because Scooble wants 32 million and the Tigers filed at 19 million.
That's
It's giving AL
crazy.
Central.
As a
Oh,
back-to-back Cy Young
seriously.
Award winner, like, how can you lowball him that much? That is absolutely insane to me.
That's painful. And I can't imagine what Scooble is thinking right now. Like getting that number back must feel so incredibly insulting. Like Kwan was estimated by most metrics to get about 8 to 8.5. So 7.725, lower than the estimates, but still within the kind of the realm of possibility. Makes
Yeah, I think
sense.
it's reasonable.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. A very, very reasonable number. So yeah, I fully agree with you, Molly. I am very happy with where they landed. Sounds like Kwan is too. So we will just continue to keep our fingers crossed that they are currently working up extension paperwork for him and trying to figure out how much money to give him.
We will
That's what we're
revisit in
going to
April.
choose to believe.
Yes, so hold on until opening day. Home opener specifically, because we have had that's when Jose signed his extension, right? Like right before the home opener, or was it right before opening
Oh,
day? I can't remember.
I don't remember
I
actually.
feel like he signed it relatively late, but we do have some guys on here April 4th, April 5th, April 9th that signed extensions. So I think home
Either
openers
way,
are
we
good.
will be celebrating downtown at the bars. So everybody
Yes,
come by when
absolutely.
Stephen Kwan gets extended. Full Guardians Twitter party.
Also, another thing, I just kind of wanted to throw back to last week really quickly and mention something else because now this is something that I also did not know. There are two different Dolan families. They're the same, they're related, but they are in fact two different families. They're the Cleveland Dolans, and then there are New York Dolans. And the New York Dolans, I believe, own the Knicks, if I'm not mistaken. So sometimes when you are Googling and looking up the net worth of the Dolans, you might be getting, especially now with AI infiltrating everything and hallucinating numbers, you might not be getting exactly what Paul Dolan's net worth is. So be careful when you say, oh, he's a billionaire and he has so much money. He does have a lot of money. I'm not going to argue about that. But the amount of money that Google is saying he has might not be the exact amount he does. And also, in general, when someone's talking about the net worth of somebody, that does not mean how much liquid cash they actually have available to them. So somebody saying, oh, well, the Dolan's net worth is $2 billion, that includes their real estate, that includes their cars, that includes their boats and yachts and private planes and
That
whatever
they
else they
totally
have.
need.
Exactly, exactly. But regardless, net worth is all of their assets combined. It's not just their liquid money that they're able to spend. So just something to add on to what we were talking about last week about how much money they may have available to them, how much money we can spend in the off season on free agency. I just wanted to toss that out there as something that we need to kind of like temper our expectations a little bit when we're Googling and seeing these numbers and kind of understand where these numbers are coming from and what they actually mean.
I won't go off on an anti-AI tangent, but also just use your media literacy skills when you're Googling things and maybe turn off that AI feature if you can. But
Fully agree. You should just be able to put like dash AI and it should try and filter out some of the AI answers and searches that come back on it, results.
I'll believe it when I see it, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to go down that rabbit hole today.
Yeah, that's another conversation for another time. And much more drinks. And next on our list of guards news, I wanted to throw over to Sarah for a quick moment.
Yeah, so just the last thing before we get to our interview here, but just today I came across this MLB executive poll on farm system rankings, which I thought was really, really interesting. So it was a poll conducted by MLB prospect reporter Jonathan Mayo for MLBpipeline.com. I guess it was a series that he started in 2023 where they poll executives across all 30 teams about their prospects and the farm systems, and the execs are not allowed to vote for their own teams. And so there were a bunch of different categories that they had voted on, and a couple that surprised me and a couple that didn't surprise me. So the first one that I think caught the attention of a lot of Guardians Twitter was they voted on which ball club hoards prospects the most. And our Cleveland Guardians were number one at a whopping 34% of the votes. The second highest were the Pirates at only 9%. So, and it's something like we've all known that, but I just saw that disparity and I was like, wow, we really do hoard our prospects. And I guess the other teams think so too. There were a couple others too. Best use of the international market. The Brewers were first at 37%, but followed by the Dodgers, Padres, then the Guardians. So I think that's a plus too. I think international market, I think a lot of us start to think of like, Japan, because they're, getting into the league a lot too. But, we do have a lot of international players that we sign, even like out of high school too, mainly in South America. So I think we do a good job with that. But that was a
Don't
cool
we
thing that we
have
were.
a like a not a school, but like a training facility in the Dominican, I
I
think?
think we do. I would have to
Yeah.
Yeah,
look
we
look more
do.
into that.
I'm not an expert by any means on this, but I know we have yeah, a whole Dominican like facility and they work on teaching them English along with player skills, of course, which like I want to say that Oscar Gonzalez was part of the first class from that school. Don't quote me on that, but I do know that we have a really big foothold in the Dominican Republic, minor league baseball. So it's only going to grow because it's a relatively new thing.
That's cool. We'll definitely have to like spend an episode talking about that because I think that would be really interesting to learn more about. But yeah, that was another one. Most underrated farm system. The Pirates were first at 15.6%, followed by the Marlins, Cubs, Reds, then Guardians. So That one kind of surprised me because I feel like we're known for having a good farm system, at least historically. But this one surprised me. They voted on just best farm system overall. The Dodgers won with 20% of the votes, and the Guardians were not in the top 10, which really surprised me. They didn't give the full list of teams, but they gave followed by Mariners, Tigers, Brewers, Pirates, Rays, Mets, and then a couple others. But the Guardians were not included in that, nor will the Orioles either, which surprised me too, because they've been a team that has had a historically good farm system too. So I was like, what's changed in recent years? So that one kind of stood out to me too. And then the last one that we were involved in is who develops pitchers the best. The Dodgers were again voted number one at 20.5%, followed by the Mets, Mariners, and then the Guardians at 15.9%. So
Surprised we're
yeah,
not
I just
higher
thought
on that
was
one, to be honest.
I
Yeah.
know, I was too, honestly. I didn't even look at the who develops the hitters the best because that was one, and I'm like, I know we're not on that. So I just I glanced at it and I scrolled, which we weren't, but no, I thought that was a very interesting article to read. It kind of gives insight into what execs from the other teams kind of think of farm systems and prospect rankings. So yeah, I think it was just on the MLB, the official MLB site. We'll link it in the podcast description too if you guys want to take a look.
Yeah, it was interesting to glance through. Yeah, the pitcher one is the one that didn't surprise me, though. I am surprised, like Madeline said, that we weren't a little bit higher on that. But interesting poll nonetheless, considering it was specifically made up of executives. I do wonder with the prospect hoarding, like, do executives often call the Guardians and offer up trades for prospects? And the Guardians are like, absolutely not. No, you're not getting X, Y, or Z. Like, is that where that's coming from? Or is it because we're often trading and receiving prospects back? Like, I'm curious as to what the why they think we're prospect hoarders, which I do agree with, but like I would be interested to hear their explanation of
Well,
why.
there was a tiny explanation after each one, and
Oh, was there?
part
I
of it
didn't
did
get that
say
part.
Cleveland promotes heavily from within and has long been considered a team that would rather give its prospects a chance to make it at home rather than raid the cupboard to bring in big league talent. So yeah, you're definitely right on both those fronts, I think.
Yeah. And one last thing, a interview with Jose dropped with Hector Gomez, and there's a couple specific. One of the Twitter users, Master Flip underscore, was doing some translation for us to help us out. But Jose very rarely does these interviews, so seeing these pop up was very welcomed and exciting for a little bit of Jose news. But two things specifically stuck out to me, and I think stuck out to a lot of us, was his one talk about taking his extension and signing below market, saying that it was ultimately my decision to take the extension. We went through a year and a half of negotiations, which is very interesting to hear that he spent a year and a half talking with the team about it, especially with how close to the deadline it got. And when I finally signed, I got a significant salary bump. I knew it wasn't fully reflective of my market value, and plenty of people made sure to point that out. But I'm a veteran and I understand how the game works. Cleveland is a small market team and they simply can't pay me what I could command on the open market. So I told them, let's find a fair agreement that works for both sides. I spoke directly with the GM. There were real trade discussions and offers from other teams willing to extend me at my full asking price. But my heart was set on staying in Cleveland. First and foremost, my children were born here. My wife feels comfortable in Cleveland, and so do I. I owe this city a lot. Since the day I arrived, I've never once been booed by these fans. I've seen how crowds in other stadiums treat players when results don't come quickly, and that's never happened here. So hearing
You
him
don't owe
open
us
up,
anything, Jose.
I
We owe you
know,
everything.
We
truly,
should feel
truly.
so honored. It's crazy.
I thought it
I
was
know. I
really
just
interesting
love
how he brought up like how his kids were born here because like
He's
a
brought
lot
that
of other
up multiple
players,
times.
yeah, a lot of other players, I mean, their kids are born in one city and then a year later they're in another city and then 3 years later they're in another city. And that probably doesn't mean anything to a 4 or 5 year old, but like raising your kid in the same city for the last like 5, 6, 7 years probably means a lot to the parents at least.
Yeah. Yeah, he has mentioned several times that he wanted he likes the fact that his kids are growing up kind of in the same place. I mean, obviously he splits his time between here and the Dominican, But instead of bouncing around to multiple places, he seems to be very, very appreciative that he has a home in Cleveland, a place that he can
Especially when it
always.
comes to like schooling ages, I'm sure that makes a
Yes,
huge difference.
absolutely. That's something I always think about when players are being traded or in free agency. Like, how do you deal with this, during the school year? Like, where are your kids going? It's definitely feels from a parent point of view, it feels very, very difficult. So I fully understand and appreciate his want to kind of have a settled home.
Hmm.
That was also one of the only interviews he's actually given, like off the field. And that was another thing he spoke about too, was
Hmm.
the reason why he doesn't do a lot of interviews. And it's because he doesn't like how players' words get manipulated and twisted. He wants absolutely no part of that. And so he said it was a personal decision for him to not do interviews like that, which I think is totally valid.
And I think it points to the fact that he really only does interviews, that he still does interviews in Spanish and relies heavily, not relies heavily, I won't say that, works with Augie to make sure that his words get translated correctly and truly. I think that just also goes to show what a good translator Augie is. Augustin Rivero is our current translator and does a very good job for the team.
I'll defend any player's decision to speak in their native language every single day. I sometimes can't even speak in my native language, so let alone trying to speak in a second language. So I am more than happy to listen to Augie translate in every interview if needed.
Yes, fully, fully
100%.
agree. All right. Well, I think that was about the guards news. A lot, but also a little. Not as much as we probably wanted, but I'm happy. So, up next, we are very excited to welcome Maia from the Cleveland Strikers onto the show. Thank you so much for joining us, Maia.
Hi, I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So, we're going to start off really quick. Maia, if you could give us 5 fast facts about yourself to introduce yourself to the audience.
Definitely. So I am 27 from Youngstown, Ohio, so kind of a Cleveland transplant, but it's really not, a big enough city to be like, oh, I came from this big one and now I'm in this one. If you grow up in Youngstown, it's kind of like if you want to be in a city, you go to Pittsburgh or you go to Cleveland or you get really adventurous and you go to Columbus. But
You
I
picked
chose
the right one.
Cleveland.
Yes.
Very happy I did. I went to college in Youngstown and majored in sports broadcasting. When I was younger, I wanted to be a sideline reporter. And so that kind of actually led me to my job with the Guardians because I just wanted to work in sports and I didn't care how I did it. And that's where that started. Another fun thing, I do the New York Times like full crossword every day. And I have a really long streak completing it that
That's
means a lot to
impressive.
me. It's very fun. I don't think it actually makes me any like smarter doing it all the time and spending that much time on it, but it makes me better at trivia and spelling sometimes.
I love doing crosswords. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I literally just tweeted the other day too, like Wordle's overrated. I know the New York Times spelling bee hates to see me coming because that's
Oh
my
my
favorite
gosh,
one is the
yes.
spelling bee. I am such like a wordsmith. I do crosswords all the time,
I love
so
that.
I love it.
We are kindred souls then. I love word games.
Absolutely.
um, Throughout my life, I've played a lot of sports and been very competitive. I was in speech and debate in high school and actually went to state for 4 years and nationals once, and just really enjoyed competing on all different kinds of stages. I played soccer and volleyball, and now in my adult life, play a lot of pickleball, very competitively, and I spend a lot of time doing it, which is super nerdy, but it's very fun.
Pickleball is
Um,
very in right now.
it's a big thing. It's
It
really
is.
fun. If you want to check it out, I play at Premier in Avon Lake. It's a great facility and it's really fun. So get into pickleball. Highly recommend.
I've been wanting to so bad, but like I've never gotten to play it yet. But
Try it
maybe
out when the
I
weather
might just
gets
have
nice.
I'll be your partner, Sarah, if you need one.
Let's
wanna
do it.
play.
I will literally hold you to that.
Okay,
Let's do
I'm
it.
down.
Caught Lookin Pickleball League.
Yep.
Amazing. Can I be a guest there?
Absolutely.
You can teach us how to play.
Happy to. I'd love that. And then I think I'm on my fifth one, and it's that my day job, 9 to 5, is in digital marketing. I work with iHeartMedia, and I do a lot of like marketing strategy, especially in podcast ads and advertisers who want to promote themselves within podcasts and other kinds of digital media. And I've actually been lucky enough to get to be a guest on a couple of our radio shows at iHeart in Cleveland as well. So lots of fun and kind of living out my initial college hopes of being in sports broadcasting or broadcasting of some kind. And this is definitely just like making my younger self happy to be on here with you guys as well. So thank you so much.
We're so happy to have you.
Yes. Well, it looks like we have a nice little connection there aside from the Guardians portion of it.
Definitely.
So you mentioned that you've always kind of wanted to be in sports in some way, went to school for sports broadcasting. So how specifically did you get to working with the Guardians? Did you just see an application and applied?
Great question. There was one girl at my college who worked for the Guardians on the Cleveland Strikers entertainment team. And she just kind of like knew my dad, who also worked at the university, and told him that he should recommend that I try out. And I was like, oh, whoa, okay, cool, whatever. And then I looked into it, and it obviously looked like the coolest job ever. And I was very excited about it. So the process was pretty simple. It's like just an application at the start and then a phone interview. And then it gets really interesting because after the phone interview, at least like 9 or 10 years ago when I applied, if you make it past that stage, they ask you to come up to the ballpark and do like an audition type tryout. And at the time, that consisted of bringing like a talent of some sort to perform in front of everyone who is also trying out and all of the current members of the team from the past year, because you re-audition each year. So it was honestly, even with my background doing speech and performance and not usually being rattled by that, it was very nerve-wracking to kind of like perform cold in front of like 5 people who are judging you and deciding if they want to hire you, and then like 50 18 to like 25-year-olds, some of which were like joking and they all knew each other, and some of which were like scared out of their boots like me.
So are they all watching you, or was it just the judges that watched your audition?
It was everyone. It was like a
Wow.
U-shaped room, and you stood in the middle of everyone and did your thing, which is by design because they want to make sure that you can, keep a smile and perform and keep your nerve in front of
30,000
however many
people.
people. Yes, but I will
Right. If you
say,
can't do it in 50 people, then you can't do it in front of 30,000.
personally, I think it's a lot easier in front of 30,000 than 50. They become dots at that point. 50 people, you see all of their exact facial expressions
That's
and
true.
reactions. It's very different. But it was a really cool experience. And I actually brought my mom with me to the audition. I was like 18 years old, and it's like the third time I'd ever even been to Cleveland. And I was just like so nervous. She like drove me up there and just killed time while I was in it. And it was really sweet. It was a very fun day. And
Aw.
I did not know at the time that it would turn into what's now going on my 10th season there. So,
Wow.
kismet.
That's awesome. What was the talent that you auditioned with, and how do
That
you
was my question.
how do you kind of like differentiate yourself from all of the other people auditioning?
Great question. I sang a song and I did it a cappella, which was nerve-wracking on its own. And I was very nervous just because of the nature of all of it. But I think the differentiator just has to be that you can kind of like interact with the crowd that's there. And if you're nervous, not show it too much, just kind of like stick it out and put on a brave face and just try to put your best foot forward, put the best side of you out there without being rattled by, any eyes on you or any individual reactions or anything like that. I think I sang a song by Francesca Battistelli. She's got one that's like popular on TikTok right now that's like, got a couple dents in my fender, got a couple rips in my jeans. And it was like some completely unheard of song from that same album, which I specifically picked because I was like, I don't think anyone will know this. So if I mess it up, I don't think they'll be able to call me on it. I think it worked.
I'm being 100% serious though. Like, I feel like 10 years ago is around the time when Pitch Perfect and Pitch Perfect 2 were really popular. So,
You're
like,
so
the fact
right.
that you went out there and did that a cappella with, like, no fear is honestly really cool. Because,
Thank
like, I feel
you.
like probably a lot of people are trying to do that. And the fact that you successfully did it is awesome.
I should have done the cup song.
I was just about to say that.
Did anybody do the cup song?
Not that I recall, but we've had some really fun, interesting auditions. There was one year where one of my coworkers juggled while reciting like a rap cadence version of a Dr. Seuss book, which
That's
was
amazing.
incredible. Yeah. And she is
Wow.
one of the types of people who like doesn't really want to be front center on the Jumbotron or really like in the camera or in the like, you know, spotlight anyway. So to see her come out and just like crush that was amazing.
Do you have performing experience? I know you said you did speech and debate. Do you do theater or anything like that?
In like middle school and high school, I did theater just with my school, and then I was in like a show choir basically up until like my junior year of high school. So yes, but not necessarily in like a solo fashion. I was usually part of like a group or an ensemble, but I definitely think that that background helps with just like having the muscle memory for performing and, you know, being in front of a lot of people and not thinking too much of it.
I also like what you said when, there's a difference between like performing and I think interacting with people, which is kind of what you said you tried to do to kind of set yourself apart.
Yeah.
How do you like I just go about interacting with people rather than just like putting on a performance? Because I have no like performances experience whatever, so like this is wholly new to me, so I'm very interested.
That is a great question. I think over the years, I've found a lot of different ways to do that. And something I really try to do just as part of the entertainment team at the ballpark is make, you know, individual moments and memories with people more so than just like trying to entertain, you know, 1,000 people at once in the stands in front of me. I really try to make sure that a couple kids or a couple people leave with some kind of unique moment. And in doing that, there's a lot of different ways that I'll try to kind of make that happen. But for example, when I am like tossing a t-shirt or like throwing something out to the crowd, I really do scan and really look at everyone and everyone's kind of reactions and how they're interacting with me back and forth. And I try to make eye contact with people and find someone like way in the back who's like really giving it their all and like kind of look them down and point them out and try to put one right on a dime to them. And if they catch it, I'm like, fair catch. Another way that I feel like I can interact on more of a one-on-one basis is just there's always so many kids in the ballpark, and it's a fun sort of like balance to go through, you know, 10 years of 60 to 80 professional baseball games a year and not become like desensitized to how many people and kids are there when a lot of the time that's like their first game or their first interaction with a major league sport in general. Or, you know, I lived an hour and a half away. I went to like maybe 2 major league baseball games ever before I started working there. And I still try to sort of channel that magic. And so if I see a kid who's like, maybe not having the best time, or they're like cheering and jumping around and trying everything they can, but they're like way in the back and they're not going to catch anything, I really try to seek them out and just like interact with them or make a little bit of a moment with them. I especially like to find kids who are like cheering their hearts out and give them a rally towel and basically ask like, do you want to be on my team today? Because I try to get everyone loud and make sure everyone is cheering as loudly as they can for the Guardians. And I could really use some help with that. And I'll give them a towel and say, okay, show me how you wave it. and they're
That's so
adorable.
cute.
That's
Aw,
It's really
awesome.
I
fun.
love
And that
that.
definitely just creates that core memory for them, I feel like. Because like you said, even though it's a regular job for you, a lot of the times it could be this kid's first game, or they've never like interacted with everyone or got on the Jumbotron or anything. And so I think just that small moment probably would just mean the world to them. So that's has to be really rewarding to be able to do that.
It's
And you're definitely
awesome.
creating the next generation of fans too, which is awesome.
Oh, I sure hope so. I love the Guardians and I love baseball, and I just want, I love being in the ballpark and feeling that sort of juxtaposition of like there's a roar of like 30,000 people, and it's easy to think of it as just like this is all one person in one community. And then it's fun to kind of pick people out and think of them as like everyone is an individual person with their own lives and feelings. And this baseball game means something different to all of them. And just getting to interact with them, even on a small level, is so fun.
I
Love
love
it.
that.
That's
That's so
great.
cute.
Do you have like, is there a specific game or a specific moment from like last season that really stands out as like your favorite, or something like really fun and exciting that happened, or just something that you could like relive?
Oh, goodness. Yes, definitely. I mean, there are so many moments like throughout the season that really just like get your heart racing and get you excited. I have the incredible privilege of being able to sit pretty much anywhere in the ballpark that I'm not blocking someone's view as a part of my job description and in big games. And I'm specifically sort of remembering that late season push where we were diving and scrapping and clawing for the division title, and to beat out Detroit. And I just remember being like crouched or like sitting down, being as small as I can behind one of the dugouts. And just like every single time anything good happened, I'm like diving onto a dugout and like sprinting and waving a rally towel and screaming with my teammates and with all of our fans. Clinching that game and that division was one of the coolest things that I've been a part of, especially with all of the lead up towards it. And seeing people start to kind of believe again and show up more and more each game as we were doing well. And Detroit was on a skid, and it seemed like, oh my God, like we might actually pull this off. And then the culmination of us actually pulling it out was just amazing. The energy was incredible.
That has to be so euphoric, just celebrating with everybody after the division win like that, after clinching. Like, it's fun enough just being a fan, but being part of like the promo team, like that has to be just absolutely insane to experience that just with everybody.
Euphoric is the perfect word for it. That's exactly how I describe it.
And you said that you've been doing this for like 9 to 10 years now. Were you a part of the World Series run?
That was the season before I joined.
Ah,
Oh
I
man.
just missed it. Yep. My first season was in 2017. So 2026 will be my 10th season there.
so you did
Um,
see the 22 game win streak though.
yes, I did. And I will say that I still very vividly remember the moment where I believe Jay Bruce hit the walk-off to clinch that 22nd game. And I was like crouching
Oh,
behind the visitors' dugout, and he hit that ball. And there's a certain side of that dugout that's about like taller than I am because it's where the steps go down towards the field. And I remember somehow like scaling this concrete dugout wall and just like shooting across the dugout with just like blind euphoria when we pulled that off. It was amazing.
Thinking about moments like that, is it ever hard to like remember that you have to do a job?
That's a
Or
great question. Go ahead.
or is it harder when it's like in a disappointing moment?
Perfectly said. I think that in the great moments, one of the coolest things about this job is that it pretty much is my job to just be excited and be so happy and just like bring the energy and match the energy of everyone around me. So, in a moment like that, maybe it's because I've been doing it for a long time. I don't think about anything except for like the anticipation of like, oh my God, is he going to hit this? What's going to happen? And when it happens, just all out energy, all out excitement, all out. Every promo item in my bag is flying. Like, I just couldn't be more excited. And honestly, that question sort of like brought it to light in my own eyes how lucky I am that like my job is not, to stand there and keep people from jumping on the dugout, or like organize something in the back of the clubhouse because now the game is over. My job gets to be celebrating with everyone at the same time. And on the other hand, there are lots of games. There's so many baseball games in a baseball season, and there are so many games in Cleveland on like a Tuesday in April that's like rainy and muggy, and there's like not a ton of people in the stands. And the thing that I like to remember in those moments, winning or losing, is that I feel like the people who show up for those games deserve that energy more than anyone else, because they are ride or die. They're there for it. When we have a rain delay and resume the game later, and there have been fans waiting around in the stands for an hour, multiple hours, just to see the end of the game, that is actually like, my teammates and I have agreed on this and talked about it many times. That's kind of like one of our favorite times in the ballpark, because every fan who is still there is just there for the energy. They love the team, they love the sport. They might have traveled a long way and they don't want to bail on this now. And they're so responsive to any amount of like energy or fun or anything you can bring to them, they'll take it. And that's really, really fun energy and a great environment too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like that's such a great way to just kind of keep the energy and the optimism, especially like midway through the season or even like when the season's just getting started with like the crappy weather and stuff. I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes it's probably hard to keep constantly bringing that energy. And, even if they're having a bad game, like as someone who would probably, I take it way too seriously. So like for me personally, I would find it so hard to like actually keep that energy. Like even when we're losing, I would just be like so pissed. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't put on a smile or anything. So I have a lot of respect for you guys just being able to do that.
Thank you. I will be so honest. Most, if not everyone I work with has a full-time job or is in school full-time. And, just like anyone who's coming to the game in the evening has had like their own day and their own problems and their own stuff to think about all day long. And sometimes in the process of like, I'm finishing up with one job and I'm thinking, okay, I got to be at the ballpark by this time and I got this, and this to do. And I got to pack my bag and roll all these t-shirts and da 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 da. I can definitely slip into that mindset of like, these are the things I have to do for my job. I have to go work my second job. Oh my God, I haven't cooked a meal this whole week. Oh my God, I'm so tired. I need to make my bed. I need to clean my house. I have to go to the ballpark instead. And then you get there and you get in front of the fans and all the like pre-game videos play and the pump up music starts. And I feel like it just kind of melts away. And even if you do have to sort of play a mental game of like, get there, get it done. And then like, once you're in it, enjoy it and remember how lucky you are. When you're in the moment, pretty much everything else kind of fades away. And I feel like going to a game and enjoying a baseball game is very similar. You can just kind of like relax into that environment and enjoy it and try to take those 2.5 hours and just make them their own world.
I just wanted to ask what sport made you want to go into sports broadcasting, because it has always seemed to me like you've had such a special relationship with baseball that I feel like all of us can relate to. So I didn't know if baseball is what made you want to do this or if it was another sport.
That is such a great question. And I'm going to out myself as a little bit of a fake here. So beware. When I was younger, my like role model in a way was Erin Andrews. I thought she was wonderful. I was really just excited to see a woman in that space. She seemed to just know what she was talking about all the time and really hold her own with anyone she was interviewing or anyone she was working with. I was like, I just want to be Erin Andrews. So I honestly was less like interested in like, let me just do this one sport. I gotta be involved in a specific sport. I was like, I want to be the Erin Andrews of whatever sport I can get into. And then obviously, like, life happens, and I did not become Erin Andrews, unfortunately. But I saw this opportunity to work with the Guardians, and initially just saw it as like, this is a good way to get my foot in the door and get into sports and learn a lot about it. And in my interview, my then boss asked why I want to work for Cleveland baseball specifically and why I want to work in baseball. And at the time, I said, I love the Cleveland baseball team. I have followed them all my life. I'm a huge baseball fan. I can't wait to be in the ballpark and be a part of that atmosphere. And in reality, I had been to one game ever, and I did not follow baseball my whole life. And if I did, it was because my dad was a huge Pittsburgh fan of all the Pittsburgh sports. And I guess I sort of liked the Pirates by default. So
Oh
I
my God.
fudged it a little there, but I
We'll
very
allow it.
quickly,
We'll allow it.
very quickly became a huge, huge baseball fan and like the biggest supporter of the Guardians that you could imagine. I've been to too many games not to be at this point.
Like baptism by fire at this point. Like
That's exactly it.
I was gonna say it's like a fake it till you make it situation.
That too. I sort of manifested it, if you will.
And also, don't give up on the Erin Andrews thing yet. You're still young. You still got your whole life ahead of you. This is a great stepping stone. And also, if this is what you want to do, this is also obviously super fun and fantastic.
Thank you.
But
I'm not opposed to it. I'm open to change, but I'm
as the
very
resident
happy
old
where
woman,
I am.
I've gotta support you younger kids in making sure that your life is not over when you hit 30.
This is true. Life is just beginning.
Exactly. So
I
you
feel
talk
like it
about
can open up. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead,
I feel like
Sarah.
I'm
You're good.
interrupting everybody. I'm so sorry.
We're just all so
Um,
excited.
I know we are. I'm literally writing down questions as I think of them, but I feel like working directly in the Guardians organization has to open up like so many networking opportunities too. So like have you met like anyone specifically in the organization who I guess just kind of had like an impact on you?
Yeah, definitely. I've gotten to work with a lot of really cool people. And in being there so long, I've also kind of just like over time gotten to know people and build rapport with them, which has been really, really cool. And I feel really lucky. One of the cool sort of coincidences that popped up from working there was that I met someone who was on my team. She was dating someone who was, I believe, a ball boy at the time, and he was in like another sort of industry as his like main job. And she introduced me to him, and he introduced me to someone else. And then right out of college, that person basically helped me get a job with the Cavs. And I worked in their corporate partnerships department for about 2 years right when I graduated college. And then that led me to my job with iHeartMedia, and I've been here for a little over 5 years now. So it's kind of like flap of a butterfly's wing where like you meet someone and they happen to know someone else, and then you happen to meet them and they happen to like you. And I've been really lucky with those sort of like networking opportunities. But I've also just met a lot of cool people in and outside of the organization because you just come across so many people being there in person with, big crowds, and also the amount of staff that it takes to run a baseball game, the amount of work that the people who work in, the front office and the game day staff and the ushers who come in, every night. Most of them are like retired or work other jobs and are very dedicated to being at the ballpark too. It's just really great people from top to bottom in the Guardians organization, in my experience. And I feel really lucky to work with all of them.
That's awesome. That's really cool that you got to make those connections that ultimately led you to a job with the Cavs too. Because I feel like all three teams, the Cavs, Browns, and Guardians, are probably like pretty close enough to where like a lot of them know the same people. So that's really cool that you're able to navigate that and have it get you all of these awesome opportunities.
Definitely. There is definitely a lot of synergy between the teams. And one place where that's really, really noticeable is actually in like the mascot teams. it's so fun to see all of the mascots of all of the sports interact with each other. They kind of have their own, like, the people who manage like the mascot teams, I feel like all just group themselves together because what a unique job, and what a unique like thing to be a specialist in. And so I'm sure you see it, like the Cavs had a mascot night recently, and Chomps was there, and probably Brownie, and all the Cleveland hot dogs, and like the minor league mascots from the different sports all made appearances, and they really go out of their way to kind of interact and support the other sports as well. And the mascot team at the Guardians works very closely with the Cleveland Strikers, so it's really cool to see, that team also getting to be in front of new crowds and show, what they're so great at to whole other, sports and arenas and events, and just show what they can do, because they're very fun and very entertaining, and they're genuinely professionals at such a silly but wonderful thing, in my opinion.
My
I love
husband
it
and I
when
just went to a Monsters game, I think last week, and like all of the Cleveland mascots were there, the hot dogs, and obviously Sully, he's at every game, and like Brownie was there, and they were just having so much fun, and I loved it.
It's like a crossover episode of your favorite show.
Exactly.
Yes.
But
I'll say
really,
one of my favorite things is when like Slider's birthday and all like the other baseball mascots come in to see them all interact, especially if I'm
Yeah.
not sure if bloopers ever come in from the Braves or if the Fanatics ever come in, but those two are just the amount of freedom that those two get to do whatever they want is insane.
Don't even get me started on Gritty.
Don't get anyone started on Gritty. No, that's one of my favorite things too. And years ago, when Cleveland hosted the All-Star game, that was like the
Oh yeah.
most heavy convergence of mascots upon the city of Cleveland that I've ever seen. And it was incredible. It was like probably at least half of the teams in the MLB were represented. And I know Blooper made it for that one. And we just had a great time hosting them. And I think our fans and the people of Cleveland enjoyed having, a bunch of Muppets and monsters and hot dogs, etc., just kind of all over the place. I always enjoy it. It's very fun to me.
I also love it because they make it fun for not just the kids, but for the adult fans too. Like the
Yes.
hot dogs have their own Twitter account.
They have a
Horatio
whole
and
lore
Skipper and the captains
backstory.
are just like batshit insane. So like it's fun for the kids because like all the kids love mascots obviously, but it's also just it makes it so much fun for the adults too because they're just so goofy and they have like so much fun with it. And so I do feel like there's a lot that goes into it. And I was actually going to ask this question too, and I'm going to tie it into the mascots. But since you said you worked so closely, the strikers and the mascots together, what was the after you had gotten hired as a striker, what was like the training period like for that? And were the mascots involved in that too?
Yes, great question. Training for being a striker is really fun and very much trial by fire. There are very few ways to kind of simulate the experience of actually working on a game day. So, one of the key components of the training is every game we have some degree of like a script, and it basically says, this is how many t-shirts you need in section 115 at the middle of the fourth inning. Toss them after this video promo on the screen. And then we also have to know that when the like 30-second mark on the in-game clock hits, we have to be off of the dugouts because that's like when the pitcher can start moving and the game can start being played, and we don't want to, be in anyone's way or disrupt anything. So they, for training, we'll print out like a sample script like that with sections all across the ballpark and all kinds of different like promo items that need to be prepped and prepared. And so you'll kind of practice packing a bag for the day, and you do it from back to front. So when we win the game, we throw out the little foam baseballs, and you'll throw like 10 of those in the bottom of the bag. And then you pack what you need for innings 8 and 7, and then like peanuts and Cracker Jacks in there. And then you have to learn how to make a t-shirt and a drawstring bag and a rally towel, all aerodynamic, so you can throw them, which is a super fun part of training, teaching newbies how to best make a t-shirt into a ball that you can get as far as possible into the stands. So you kind of prep that bag, and then it's sort of a free-for-all where everyone has their script, and our like bosses or managers are like, okay, it's mid-1, where do you have to be? And everyone just scatters and goes through the ballpark and gets to the section they need to be in, and gets kind of grouped up with a veteran who knows their way around in case they need it. And you just kind of go through that process. But learning the ballpark and the amount of time that 3 outs can take, but might not take, is just something that comes with time. It's such a subjective sort of thing. At the very least, it should be a minute and a half for an inning. Like, if everything is so quick and it's strikeout, 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 you know you get 3 batters, you know they each have like 10 to 15 seconds of a walk-up song, and the pitcher's going to take 10 to 15 seconds or whatever. But there's a possibility that you're in, section 455 in the top middle of the upper deck, and your hit is 3 outs away and it's in the bleachers. And as soon as you're done with 455, you're on the run. And it's kind of hard to take someone who's never been in that situation and give them like the understanding of the urgency and the hustle that it could possibly take. And then, when they actually do it, they'll run there and there will be a pitching change, and they'll just sit there and wait for 3 minutes, even though they were hustling to get there on time. But we try to simulate those sorts of things in training so everyone kind of has an idea of what it might feel like. And then the first couple weeks of the season, we also kind of take anyone who's new and make sure they're pretty much always paired up in a group with someone who's been there a long time, so they can kind of learn along the way too. It's not just like, all right, figure out how to swim. It's like, hey, swim, but I got your life preserver.
That's crazy how coordinated everything is, like down to the T.
Mm-hmm.
Like where you specifically have to be for what inning, like what you have to throw per inning. Like that's the kind of stuff that nobody thinks about. So it's crazy how just like in sync you all have to be.
It is definitely a well-oiled machine, and it has to be. And there's a lot of thought that goes into it too. Like the managers who kind of run the game day and live entertainment take a lot of care in making those scripts so that most of the time, if you are, here, here, and here, and you only have 3 outs in between them, you're moving in a way that makes sense. So you're hitting like every area of the ballpark, but you're not doing them in like an illogical zigzag pattern, and you have time to get to them and be there on time and, do what you're meant to be doing. And then the other thing that's kind of cool to think about is that we have a lot of like corporate partnerships and sponsors that have a lot to do with the inning breaks. And those hits specifically are like, be there or else. So if you've got, t-shirts to throw in one section, but after that, there's, I don't know, for example, like a giveaway from Car Parts Warehouse in section 165 after that. You throw your balls or shirts or whatever, and then you get to the Car Parts Warehouse one because they, pay for that spot, and it matters that they're represented in the game day experience, and they give out free wiper blades, which I think is like the best promo that we have in the ballpark.
I could use that right now.
Me too.
It comes
Oh my
in
God.
handy.
Yeah.
If you ever sit in one of those sections, there's almost always extra coupons. Take a couple. Have them for backup.
Insider
but
info.
Yes, definitely. It is just very organized, and there's a lot more that goes into it than it probably looks like.
100%. That's so interesting.
So, our last question before we move on, if you had any advice for anyone who's interested in doing this, working with the Guardians in kind of like any capacity, not even just the strikers, what advice would you give them to get started? Like they're a young 20-something just coming out of college.
Great question. I think enthusiasm goes a really long way in this field, and just grinding, unfortunately. I'm not really a bootstraps sort of person, but if you are passionate about working in sports, it is a grind. You can probably ask anyone from top to bottom who works at the ballpark or for a major league or especially a minor league team. Part of it is for love of the game. You know, you're going to be in nights and weekends, you're going to develop some kind of complex about always wanting to know what's going on with your team and what's going on like the waivers and in your farm system and everything else. And wanting to know that is the first step. If you don't feel very passionate about your team or your sport, you just kind of want to get into sports because it seems like it'd be fun, either be prepared to be really into it very quickly, like I did, or understand that like that is a requirement because it is just intensive and fun. And if you don't find it fun and don't find a passion for it, it'll probably just feel like a nonstop grind. So it pays off if that's what you really love and care about. And I absolutely think you should follow that and take it as far as it will go. And you'll definitely meet really great people who also care a lot about the same teams and things that you do if you do find yourself in that scenario. For the strikers specifically, I will add one more note. The audition process is not like it was when the old lady of our striker team, initially signed up. It is much easier. I believe you don't have to perform a talent at all anymore. Definitely not in a room full of strangers and current employees. That was nerve-wracking for me. Even years later when I was on the team and was still auditioning, because we did that every year, it was still scary. But now it's a lot more like simplified process. It's kind of like, if you're in this scenario in the ballpark, how would you handle it? Or like simulating, like you got to hype up a crowd in front of you and us three judges are your crowd. What would you do? It's a lot more like in-game sort of stuff and not just like, sing to me. So don't be afraid. If you're interested and you're enthusiastic, come on down and don't let my story from my first year scare you, and bring your mom if you want.
All are welcome.
Definitely.
All right. So, first of all, thank you, Maya, so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. But before we officially sign off, we're going to do a fast this, that, or the other thing. And you're going to give us some rapid fire responses to these, or at least, as quick as you can think of something.
Sounds great.
Number one, favorite hot dog topping?
Ooh, I want yellow mustard, shredded cheddar cheese, and dill relish on a Hebrew National. That's my ideal hot dog.
Specific.
That's exactly what I want, and now I want it right now.
We are so close. We are so close to that. All right, and now your favorite hot dog mascot. Is this going to cause some jealousy and rivalry, though?
It could, but I'm going to go with my girl Spicy. New and beautiful and wonderful spicy mustard.
Love it. All right, your favorite place to sit, or in your case, cheer at in Progressive Field?
Ooh, great question. I like to be hunched in a crouching position behind one of the dugouts so that when something really fun happens, I can, as aforementioned, just like go sprinting across it. But I also really love the right field wall area and the upper deck. I feel like those sort of outskirts areas are where there are really big fans who bring the energy and the action, and I love hanging out around there too.
Awesome. So I know you said you weren't like a massive Guardians fan growing up, Cleveland fan. But your favorite player of any sport then growing up, or if you did have a favorite Cleveland baseball player then?
Good question. I would say Alex Morgan of the USA soccer team.
Good one.
Huge fan of her. And then in baseball, probably Andrew McCutchen. Because as I mentioned, my dad was a big Pittsburgh fan. The only team I watched, if I watched any baseball, was usually the Pirates. And I actually got to sing in a Pirates game with my middle school choir once. And so briefly got into it a little bit. And I was like, McCutcheon. I think that's the one I like.
I think Kutch is a really good kind of universal guy that I think everyone can agree is just a good dude overall.
He's a good
Definitely.
Yeah.
No one hates him.
Certified good.
guy.
Certified good dude. Yes.
I've always equated Andrew McCutcheon on the Pirates to Carlos Santana on the Guardians.
I
Yeah.
love that.
I feel that. I definitely see that. All right. Favorite Cleveland hidden gem.
Ooh, hidden gem. That's a tough one for me. I feel like
Or
I'll
your
get,
specific, like something that you just like, a good coffee shop, a brewery.
you know what? I have a good answer for this, I think. The downtown branch of the Cleveland Public Library is one of the
Ooh.
most beautiful buildings. It's one of the nicest places to hang out. They've got like an outdoor patio with a little fountain in it, and the indoor, like the outside architecture of the building is beautiful. The amount of books and media they have there and the amount of like cozy places to hang out in that building is wonderful. And I think everyone should support their local library.
I will
Preach.
agree with that. Yes.
So
Downtown Cleveland
Co-signed.
architecture is slept on. It is
I agree.
truly beautiful. So
Yes.
I agree with that. All right, Lake
So does
Erie's.
James Gunn.
Yes, yes, God bless James Gunn. Lake Erie or the Metro Parks?
Ooh, I go with the Metro Parks, but no hate to Lake Erie. I love driving down the shoreway and growing up not next to the lake, seeing the lake over there is like, wow, I'm by a body of water. It just feels magical every time. But having like the Cuyahoga Valley National Park nearby and the very well run, lovely Metro Parks is such an asset to this area. Got to give them their
Hmm.
credit.
Absolutely. All right, when you're referring to, if you give Cleveland a nickname, the land or Cle, CLE?
Gotta go with the land. I feel like whenever I see Clee, it's like not easy to say, and I want to spell it out, but then that's even harder to say. So the land is just easy.
I mean, that's
So
kind of
say.
where I went with it when I was asking the question. So I feel you. I feel you.
All right.
Playhouse Square or the Cleveland Orchestra?
Playhouse Square. I haven't interacted with the orchestra as much as I should, and that's on my bucket list, but I've never been disappointed by Playhouse Square.
I think anyone who's grown up in Cleveland has had at least one, if not several, field trips to the Cleveland Orchestra.
That makes sense.
So I feel like that is a core Cleveland memory for many Cleveland children.
Huh. Well, as a transplant, I guess I got to go
You
Playhouse
gotta,
Square, but I would like to take my own field trip to the orchestra sometime
yes,
soon.
you absolutely should. I mean, honest to God, it's one of the top orchestras worldwide. I will speak on that.
That's amazing.
If you have been to either of the museums, the art museum or the history museum,
Ooh, I love the art museum.
very
Gotta go
pretty.
with that. There's so many gems in Cleveland, but that is just such a great one. And for all the different sort of scenes we have here, the fact that we have such a wonderful art museum with so many cool showcases and events is such a great. I just think it's so great that Cleveland has that.
Agree. Food wise, po' boys or pierogies?
Ooh, pierogies for sure. I live in Parma right now, and
Yes.
so I'm just surrounded by pierogies
Pierogi
and
capital.
very authentic Polish and Ukrainian food, and it's like incredible.
Did you get to see the pierogi drop on New Year's Eve?
No, but I saw it all over social media, and I was very proud of my proximity to the pierogi.
All right, and last one. This one might be controversial, might start some fights. East side or west side?
West Side, easy. It's just easier to get around. I'm so sorry. Every
As a
time I
born and
try to
bred west
drive
sider,
east,
I agree.
I get lost. I take the wrong exit. 90 West is so simple and it takes me pretty much everywhere.
Though there's so much construction now on 90 West.
That's true. It's the worst. But as mentioned, I play a lot of pickleball and I play in Avon Lake. So I gotta go West Side. I spend way too much time over there.
Understandable. Though it going from Parma, I have noticed that on the west side it is not easy to get from like 90 to 480.
Oh my God.
There's nothing connecting the two until you get all the way to the toll road by Avon.
Don't get me
It's
started.
horrible.
It's the
480
worst.
terrifies me still.
I live in a
ODOT, get
place.
on this.
that is like as impossible to get somewhere as I feel like it can be in the Cleveland area.
Yeah.
Cleveland's not hard to get around, but the fact that I have to drive like 15 minutes just to like be on 90 drives me crazy every time.
Yeah. Yeah. And Parma, I feel like, is no man's land. There is nothing
Definitely.
that gets you there. Like
Nope.
77 and
Luckily,
71 are on opposite sides of Parma when it gets down to there.
yeah. And I like not knowing Cleveland geography was thinking, oh, this is like very central. Wrong. It's in the middle of nothing.
Oh, and I think that's a good place. We're talking about traffic to
It
end
always
the
comes back to
episode.
that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's always just how are you getting around, and everything takes 15 to 20 minutes, regardless of where you're at.
True that.
Maya, again, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. Madeline?
I just want to say, Maya, I have been in baseball about the same amount of time as you. I started watching in the postseason 2016, and I feel like I've known you just as long. And I just want to let you know how special you have been to me during my time as a baseball fan, and how special you make the games for me, whether it's just like a Tuesday night, middle of the season baseball game, or something special like my birthday or Pride Night or something like that. You always make my in-game experience so special, and I just want to let you know I'm so thankful for you.
You're gonna make me cry. That is so lovely. I am so happy that baseball introduced us and allows us to stay close and just enjoy this amazing sport and this lovely team together. And I feel so lucky for meeting all of the great people that baseball has introduced me to, especially you, Madeline. And now you guys, thank you so much for having me here.
Yes,
I also kind of want to shout out like Guards
please.
Twitter and you guys in general, because I think that is just so fun and it makes it so much more like interesting and interactive to enjoy something that feels so niche and then have a community of people who are watching it like a hawk the same way I feel like I am. So I'm definitely more of a lurker than anything else, but I really enjoy the community you guys are a part of. And I am so honored to be on this podcast and have gotten to talk to you guys about what I get to do at the ballpark. It's a blast.
Yes. Well, this summer, whoever is there, look out
Holla
for
at
Maya,
me.
give her a holler, and maybe she'll throw a aerodynamic t-shirt at you.
You know I'll try.
And that is going to end season 2, episode 2 of Caught Lookin'. As always, please keep an eye on our socials for new episodes, new talking points. Chat with us. We're on everything when it comes down to it. Like I said, Sarah's got us up and rolling on YouTube too. So thank you, Sarah. And we will see you next week. Whether you're here for the hot takes, the heartbreaks, or the home runs, don't get caught looking. Thanks, everyone. Go Guards.
Go Guards.